Don't answer the calls. This is the story of a guy named Max. To this day, he's terrified of answering phone calls at night. What happened to him defies logic and left him haunted forever. Max had just moved to a new city for work. He was a programmer, and between the deadlines and the stress of relocating, he barely had time to look for a place to stay. He ended up renting a small, one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. It wasn't ideal, the building was old and the walls were thin, but it was quiet and he figured he could make it work. For the first few nights, everything was fine. Max got used to the creaking floors, the faint hum of the old fridge, and the occasional sound of footsteps from the apartment above. But on the third night, something strange happened. He had fallen asleep on the couch while watching TV. Around 2:13 a.m., he woke up to the sound of his phone ringing. Half asleep, he grabbed it. The number on the screen was unfamiliar. At first, he thought it might be a work emergency, so he answered. Hello? There was no response, just faint static, like the sound of someone breathing through the phone. Hello? Who is this? Then, finally, he heard it. A faint whisper, almost too quiet to hear. Help me. Max froze. The voice was soft, distant, and off. It sounded like a woman, but there was something unsettling about the way she spoke, as if it wasn't her voice at all, but something trying to mimic one. What? Who is this? Max demanded, but the call ended abruptly. The next day, Max brushed it off. He was tired, stressed. Maybe he'd imagined it. But the following night, at exactly the same time, the phone rang again. It was the same number. This time, he let it ring. But the phone didn't stop. It kept ringing and ringing until he finally gave in and answered. What do you want? He snapped. Again, nothing. Just static. And then the same whisper. You shouldn't have answered. Max hung up and turned off his phone. But as he sat there in the silence of his apartment, something felt wrong. The TV, which had been playing moments ago, suddenly turned off on its own. And in the corner of his eye, he thought he saw something move in the shadows. He tried to tell himself it was his imagination. But that night, sleep didn't come easily. Around 3 a.m., he woke up again, this time to the sound of his apartment door creaking open. Max sat up, his heart pounding. He knew for a fact that he had locked the door before going to bed. Grabbing a kitchen knife, he crept to the hallway. The door was slightly ajar, just enough to see the darkness of the corridor beyond. But then he heard it, soft, shallow breathing, just on the other side of the door. The next morning, Max was shaken but convinced himself it was all a coincidence. He told a colleague about the phone calls and the door, but his friend just laughed. Old buildings, man. Drafts, faulty wiring, it's nothing. Don't let it get to you. But Max couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The calls continued every night, always at 2:13 a.m., always from the same number. One night, fed up, he decided to answer again. He was determined to confront whoever was behind this. What do you want? He shouted. This time, there was no static, just a long, chilling pause. Then, the whisper came again, clearer than before. You shouldn't have answered. The voice sounded closer, almost like it was in the room with him. And then the lights in his apartment flickered and went out. For a moment, the darkness was complete. Then came a sound, soft, shuffling footsteps, moving toward him. Max grabbed his flashlight and swung it around, but the beam of light revealed nothing. The apartment was empty, yet he could still hear the footsteps. They stopped right behind him. He didn't sleep that night, but the worst was yet to come. A week later, the phone rang again. This time, it wasn't coming from his phone. The sound was faint but unmistakable, coming from the empty apartment next door.